Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Chaz Kayado, and the topic of today's discussion is maximizing personal enjoyment at your job. And so this goes hand in hand with some of the things that we've discussed in the past as it pertains to mental health. But specifically in the field of teaching, we know that this is a very difficult career path. And many teachers don't make it past the first few years. It's just unfortunately we see a high amount of turnover, and it doesn't help that teachers are not paid probably what they deserve. But that's a topic for another day. So if we know that it's a high stress job, and it's not the type of job where you're going to be making as much money as possibly some of the other career paths that you might be able to take. I think it's important that we figure out, how do we get the most out of this job to where at the end of the day we're still happy despite the shortcomings of pay and the shortcomings of the stress. And so some of the things that I've done, and feel free to share below if there's anything else that you've done that really helps that I haven't talked about. But one of the things that I think is really important is, first thing, remembering why you do what you do. Okay, if we get so caught up in the grading, we get so caught up in the meetings, we get so caught up in the bureaucracy, and we forget what brought us to teaching in the first place, well, that's going to be one of the reasons why we may decide to leave the field. And so remembering what brought you there in the first place should always be at the forefront of your mind. Okay, now if you feel that things are getting in the way of what brought you to teaching, well, those are conversations you should have with administrators well before you decide to do anything drastic like leaving the field. Matter of fact, administrators would probably be excited that you're bringing up some of these things rather than just telling them at the end of the year, sorry, I'm not going to be coming back. They're going to say, okay, look, we're going to give you the resources that you need to be successful. And the flip side of that, if they don't tell you that they're going to give you some help, then that may be a sign that, maybe it's not teaching, maybe it's the school that I'm at. And maybe that might be something that that you consider before leaving the field. Maybe I should change my scenery before I just change my career. So keep that in mind. Now, one thing that I've done is I am at school 12 months out of the year. Whether that be, regular teaching, whether that be coaching, whether that be, I'm a summer camp director. I also help out with over the summer orientations for new students. I mean, there's a lot of things that I'm doing, and I'm at school a lot. Now, I do a lot of that because of getting some extra money. And we've talked about that in a previous video. That may not be for everyone. Some people might need longer breaks to recover. At this current time, I don't need that long of a break after the school year or even between semesters or anything like that. So I'm constantly busy. That may change in the future. And if that changes, then I have to make some decisions on what I need to cut out. But aside from that, there are things that I do look forward to that do keep me excited about my job. One is, because of some of the sports that I coach, or because of some of the organizations that I'm involved in, I get to do some really cool activities that I wouldn't be able to do in another career. So for instance, I used to sell insurance for a few years, but I was still coaching. And every time there was a competition that would fall on a school day or meant traveling during normal work hours, I always had to take off of work. It was always stressful. I had to explain to my manager, I got to do X, Y, and Z. Whereas you don't necessarily have that problem when you are a teacher. Now, maybe if you're excessively missing school, yeah, that's going to be an issue. But usually even once a week, is pretty standard for many different extracurricular activities if you have to leave school a little early one day. So what I've done is, I recognize that there's going to be certain times every year where I get to go and I get to enjoy some type of trip. Okay, whether that be traveling to the state championship for cross country or the state coaches convention over the winter. There's other various trips that have come up, whether it be for professional development, whether it be for, once again, different organizations that I'm involved in. These are all enjoyable times. And I think that it's important to recognize that, hey, take in and soak in that enjoyment that you get when you do these things, because you wouldn't be able to do them in many other careers. Okay, now perhaps if you got a job that involved a lot of traveling, um, great. But actually, my experience is talking to people that do travel for their jobs is they actually don't like it as much. There's a difference between traveling ever so often and traveling all the time, to where the traveling all the time can also burn people out. So once again, look at the benefits that you might have in terms of what you may have access to already through the organizations that you're involved in. If at school you're offered the chance to do professional development, and you can go and travel. A few years ago, I didn't take this opportunity because I was already doing something, but there was a professional development opportunity to go to Nashville for a few days, and so that would have been a paid trip by the school. Take those opportunities. They're there for a reason, and you don't need to feel bad about going and enjoying yourself, as long as be realistic. If you're going to go on a trip to for professional development, you need to go for professional development. But outside of those professional development hours, enjoy yourself as much as you'd like. You'll feel like you had a mini vacation. You'll feel like you're getting a benefit out of being a teacher, or whatever job that you have, that you would not have otherwise been able to do, potentially in another career. So look at that as a real big benefit of being involved in education. So another thing is, my personal experience with the school that I'm at is there are a lot of perks that come with being a teacher, whether that be just a teacher appreciation week, which seems to be almost even like once a month now, which I do think helps the mental side of being a teacher. Helps us with burnout, when you're getting those appreciation emails, when you're getting appreciation letters, or even a free lunch from the teachers or from the parent association. It does feel awesome. And so recognize that. Don't be bitter about oh my gosh, this week is just good. Embrace the things that do offer you some enjoyment. And I know me, I love to eat, so whenever we have school lunches, sometimes we even do special dinners for teachers. I've really enjoyed that, and I think that recognizing that those things bring you, or can bring you, joy, will help put things in perspective. I recently had a friend who's a teacher that was considering changing out of the teaching field, and he's been in it for 15 years or so, into something else. And I said, look, I've been there, I've done sales. It's not always roses, and there are things that we get in teaching that you don't necessarily get anywhere else. If you are one of those people that you're financially stable enough to where you don't need to do a lot of extracurriculars, you don't need to work during the summer, and we understand the caveat as teachers that you are still preparing for the next school year during the summer. That's not what I mean. But you don't need to go work from 9 to 3 or 9 to 5 during the summer to make ends meet. Recognize that is a big benefit that not every not every job, you know, can offer you. So recognizing those positives will help keep you positive and will help keep you maximizing your appreciation for what you do. So I know it's really easy in a field like teaching to get distracted by the negatives, and I'm not saying there will never be any negatives, but if you keep it if you keep the perspective of all the benefits and all of the good things that do bring you enjoyment, uh, it will help you retain your job because you'll stay in that field longer because you'll be happier for a longer amount of time. So don't focus on the negatives, focus on the positives. And if there's anything that I missed, please comment down below. I'd love to hear what you do to maximize your personal enjoyment as a teacher. And I appreciate you watching this video. Thank you.